go live.
Go live.
Yeah, it's Monday.
It is Monday.
Monday, February, September 7th.
It is Labor Day.
2020. Oh, it is.
It
and
is
I
Labor Day.
did labor today.
I did not.
I labored in the day. My phone just went off letting me know that we are live. And because we are get on your watch, because we are the supreme professionals on the camera that you see, this is our microphone right here.
Yes.
This little thing.
You can see it.
So
you can see it.
These are the types of videos you can come to expect from professionals who can't get a microphone boy. What are they called? What are they called? The
boom.
No, like a boom mic kid. They're called something.
I don't know.
I forget. Anyways, good evening. It is 7 o'clock on the West Coast, which means it's o'clock somewhere, wherever you might be. I certainly hope that you are staying safe, that you're staying inside, that you're wearing a mask. That is important. She's Susan.
I am Susan. He's Nathaniel.
That's the Mandalorian. I touched her boob.
And that's the child.
And the child. That is some odd placement for that child. We are, and I'm Nathaniel. We are, as you mentioned, Divine Disbelief.
Did I mention that?
You mentioned I'm Nathaniel.
Ah.
We rehearsed this.
We did. We totally did, obviously. We rehearsed every single one. Like you have come to expect from our many, many very professional streams.
They've all been amazingly well done and professional, and we appreciate all of you for being here. Now, I'm whiter than normal. Look at this. This is a computer right here.
It is a computer.
So before we get started into what is going to be possibly our most serious, for sure, video that we've at least live stream that we've done so far. Yeah, it is right there. We have to let you know that the West Coast, it is this time of year in the West Coast that we buck the stereotype, if you will, because it doesn't rain here in the summertime.
It does not.
Very much. It's a tiny little bit, and it's certainly not enough to keep things incredibly green. And it also gets windier around this time of the year. This is also the hottest time of the year. We creep up into the 90s.
We do.
Once or twice. Texas laughs.
Yeah. They laugh in Texan, basically.
Yes. And today that we are seeing some very, very high winds. And with that, of course, comes a lot of wildfires. The cats are in the other room knocking some shit down. You know what? That's okay. Or it was the wind. And we have wildfires that have bloomed up obviously in California and in northern and eastern Washington. And earlier today, we had one over in Mount Hood, which is about 40 miles east of us. And we're not going to be affected by that, which is good. However, it's smoky outside.
It is.
I guess that Mother Nature has a habit. And the largest, been worried about us. Hey, we're here. Thank you so much. The largest thing that we need to tell you folks about is we are safe. Don't worry. There's not a threat to a fire here, but there is a rather substantial threat for trees falling down and knocking out the electricity. It actually happened once about a half hour ago.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a brownout.
Yes. And so if that happens, this stream will end.
It will cease to be.
The chances are the chances are very high that we're okay.
Yeah, we'll let you know otherwise.
Yes. But hopefully, in case that happens, just so you know, that's a possibility. That's a thing. Of something that could happen here while we're streaming. We don't intend to make this an incredibly long stream, but regardless, we're setting things up and the power went. So yeah. That's what it sounds like when the power goes out in Portland.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So what are we talking about today? This is a semi-unusual day for a stream for us. Usually we don't stream on Mondays. It has not been our modus operandi, as it were. Usually it is, we used to do Wednesdays and Sundays. Currently we're doing Saturdays with Explain Like I'm 5. So this means that a Monday stream is mildly out of character. So why the stream today?
Well, I just liked our video. Is it okay if you like your channel's video?
I think so.
Anyways,
I think it's fine.
well, I have been thinking, and this is always a bad thing when this happens, and this is also not a funny stream. So when I say that I've been thinking, it's not in like the funny haha, the guy actually thinks some thoughts way. No, it's actually in the I've been looking in depth into things and it becomes very serious type of way.
Right.
And I would like to begin by going back in time a little bit, which seems, if you are like us and on the left, Bernie Sanders looks over at us and is like, what are you doing over there? You think that might be a good thing because it's prior to the current guy who apparently is
not
president.
Great. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, also that.
Also not great.
Also president. And we don't like him, oh, by the way. Not just because he's a sexist and a racist and all these other things, and he's a liar, but also because he is undeniably the definition of a fascist. But, which I have gone over in depth. Feel free to check the Twitter feed. But going back, it might seem like it's a good idea, but we're going to take you back before the supposedly progressive black president, and we're going to take you back before Iraq and recession and 9/11, back to November 7th of 2000. That was the 2000 United States presidential election. Dear God. What happened in that election is the way that this went down, and it is one of the real low points in our country's history. And by the way, we've got a lot of those. But here's what happens. You had Al Gore, who was the vice president under former President Bill Clinton. He ran for president, and he is from Georgia, which makes a lot more sense now when I watch his little movies. And he had Joe Lieberman,
right.
Jewish guy, as his vice presidential candidate. They definitely talked about his Jewishness and how he was Jewish.
Quite a bit,
yeah,
I imagine.
Weird. And then on the they were Democrats, and on the Republican side you had George W. Bush, who was the son of George H. W. Bush, the late President George H.W. Bush. He was like the 40th. I don't know. That's too many presidents ago. And his vice presidential candidate was one Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney would go on into fame by shooting somebody in the face with a shotgun.
Two things. One, W was indeed the governor of Texas. He is the one that should not have beaten Ann Richards, but somehow he did beat Ann Richards. Two, Dick Cheney shot somebody in the face with birdshot at a ranch in southern Texas.
Yeah, when they were working. Anyways.
The guy forgave him, which,
yeah.
I mean, you know.
It was an accident. But also he had to go on, that person had to go on to television and say he was sorry.
Yeah.
For being in the way.
Being in the way of birdshot.
Anyways, way for us to be super duper, I guess, sorry about things. Anyways, that was after they were elected. How did they get elected? So you had the election, which is this crazy thing we do in America, this thing called the Electoral College, which was created as part of really the 3/5 compromise to appease the southern states. So it is from its very beginning an incredibly racist concept. And in the in the election in the year 2000, what happened was it went fairly normal, except George W. Bush did not win California.
Right.
Yes, which is kind of rare for Republicans at that point, at that time.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was it came down to 3 states, right? You have 3 states that really came down to it, because at this point, Al Gore was winning.
Mhm.
He was beating George W. Bush in both the popular vote and in the Electoral College.
Right.
And then it came down to Oregon,
Mhm.
which is where we are, Wisconsin.
Which is not where we are.
Correct. We're not in the Badger State. But then it came down to Florida. And even if Wisconsin and Oregon had flipped red and Al Gore had won Florida, Al Gore would have still won the presidency. So it really came down to one state.
Right.
And then it came down to 3 counties in one state.
Mm.
And as the vote tallies were coming in, you had news organizations, and this becomes incredibly important later in our video, by the way. You had news organizations who were like, oh, cool. The blue one is way out in front. Al Gore wins Florida. And then you had people, because Pensacola is in the central time zone, whereas the rest of the state is like, look, we're on the east side of the country. Pensacola stuff started rolling in as well. And then you get Florida, it's starting to turn more red and start to go more right. And that happens. And then they're like, my bad, said CNN. Oops. Never mind. This is very much a contested race.
Right.
And then later on in the evening, it came down to, hey, Sam, it came down to 3 counties in southern Florida. Broward, Miami-Dade, and some other place. Anyways, and it came down to really 1 county.
Realistically, yeah.
Yes. And they said George W. Bush had won. But they were within 2,000 votes. And because they were within those because Al Gore was within those 2,000 votes, he took his concession and was like, never mind, I'm going home with it. And said mandatory recount, because it is required there. And they did a mandatory recount. And in this recount, it's done by hand in the year 2000, which also today. And
did he have to ask for it, or did it automatically get triggered?
It is an automatic trigger, but if you've already conceded, they don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he just basically took the concession ball and was all like, I'm
going home.
I'm going home.
Yeah. And what he said was, now we need a recount. And as they began to recount it, it started steadily dropping from 2,000 down to 1,000,
right.
987. And we started, and the news was there. Like this was, if you were not alive or do not remember this in the year 2000, this was like the world was fixated on this. This one event. And it went on quite literally for until December.
I remember that.
So weeks later, and I had to learn about Chad, and not just my friend named Chad, or a country that is in Africa named Chad, but also hanging Chad and butterfly Chads.
I was waiting to use
yes,
that one. Actually.
Appreciate that. And butterfly Chads. And other types of because what you'd have to do is you'd slide your little and you'd punch it, and it would put a little, it's like a 3-hole punch, and then you would feed it into the machine, and then that's how we did it back in the day. Seriously, prior to like technology, which I'm certain is super duper secure. And people were trying to figure out, what the fuck am I looking at? That's one F-bomb. We're still good. And
we're not monetized. So
nobody, like, there was going back and forth where you had like Democrats that were saying, we hacked our school's TV system to get CNN. I like the civics teacher.
Right.
Teach more like your stuff here in the States. That'd be awesome.
Right.
And Democrats said, well, no, this is the actual count. And so Al Gore continued to basically take it to court, and it went to the Florida Supreme Court, which they said, yes, you can extend this. What happened was the Secretary of the Attorney General, the Secretary of the State, I don't know, of Florida, sent out created a press conference which said that the only ballots which will be accepted are those which were postmarked or signed on or before November 3rd, except that never made it. That press conference never happened. Yeah. And so while the recount was going on, and by the way, this is real, we will put in the, and she's looking at me because she never heard this. We will put in the, whatever the description of this video, put in there the stuff from the New York Times, very specifically, how George W. Bush mined those votes while the recount was happening. While they were doing that, went behind the scenes a little bit. And it was shown that over 100,000 of those, of the votes that were accepted by the state of Florida were invalid because they either lacked their signature or they were postmarked or signed after November 3rd. And they accepted them anyway. That's a big fucking deal.
So wait, hold on. But election... Are you just saying the wrong date, or did they have the date wrong?
No, they didn't they didn't send their ballot back to Florida until after November 3rd.
So the election was November 3rd. I thought you said it was November 7th earlier.
November 3rd. Or was it? No, November 7th. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. That's what.
Yeah, November 3rd is this one.
Yeah, I was just all like, I thought that was this one.
November. Yes, thank you.
That was the confusion.
Yeah.
Okay.
November 7th. Sorry. You know what? Being so close to the election, I sometimes appreciate the correction there, and apologies for any type of confusion I may have caused. But those were counted when they shouldn't have been. That usually is what's missed in this conversation, that they should not have been counted.
Right.
But nobody knew about those.
Right.
And what ended up really going down was that the Supreme Court overruled everything and said that what the state of Florida was doing with their recount after recount after recount was unconstitutional, that they couldn't push it out any further. Thank you very much, Antonin Scalia, for being just awesome, because we never had the chance to investigate the over 100,000 ballots which came from absentee and overseas and were postmarked or stamped after November 7th. And yet they were still accepted because the press conference never happened. Well, in the beginning of December, the Supreme Court said, fuck you to Al Gore. And Al Gore conceded the election to George W. Bush. And he lost by 537 votes. The 2000 election was decided by 537 votes. Al Gore won the popular vote.
He did.
This is a common refrain. He was the first person since Grover Cleveland in 1880 to win the election after losing the popular vote, because again, the Electoral College is garbage.
Accurate.
And consider what 537 votes could have done. Yeah. Because shortly after his election, 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Who knows if it still would have happened, but we do know could have changed things.
Yeah.
We certainly likely wouldn't have gone to Iraq, where we lied to go into Iraq.
Yeah.
Right? For nuclear stuff. We also had the recession.
Yeah.
These
Sorry,
things,
I'm laughing at nuclear, not anything else.
Nuclear. 537 votes decided the election in 2000.
Yep.
Why do we bring that up today? Why is that election important? And why are we talking about it on September 7th of 2020? If it's already happened in the past, and all you're going to do is bitch about what happened in the past, which, by the way, yes, I do, and I will.
Rightfully so.
It is, let me look at my notes again. Feel free to add filler so I can bring up the docs.
The Google Docs.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Let's see. I would just like to point out that I was 13 during the 2000 presidential election. So there's a lot of stuff that I vaguely remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's because I actually remember it happening firsthand, or if it's because that's, my mind has filled in bits and pieces.
It's been interesting since then, but I should also note something that we put into the notes as well. Should note what's in the notes. In 2000, during the recount, a bunch of Republicans, and they were Republicans, many of them would go to serve in George W. Bush's either cabinet or somewhere in the Republican administration, or go on to be senators, Republican senators, and people in the House of Representatives. They would storm into these election places and try to talk about fraud, voter fraud, and try to say that the recount has to stop now. These were known as the Brooks Brothers. Yeah. These were known as the Brooks Brothers riots.
You want me to bring up that Wikipedia?
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay. I was like, I think you have enough notes on it. They
were led by somebody that you may have heard of, who I don't know. He's kind of like faded. You should Google him sometime. You should Google him, because his name, if you've never heard of him before, again, he's very, very the course of the past 20 years, the past 4, his name is Roger Stone. He of the Nixon tattoo, him, Roger Nixon Stone. I'm certain that's what he was called when he was in jail for a day.
Nixon Stones may break my bones.
Yeah. They politicized the recount, made it seem like the Democrats just didn't want to lose, which, to be fair, no, we didn't. I wasn't a Democrat then. I was 17. I don't think I was anything then. I knew that I was watching CNN, and that's back when it was, I guess Tucker didn't work there yet. Who knows? That was before he got fired from CNN, but also could have been before he was hired by CNN. Also MSNBC, where he was then, of course, fired from as well.
Yes, because 30 Rock has Tucker Carlson on MSNBC.
See, there you go. He was fired like from them too,
2006.
For being too much of a white supremacist or whatever.
Something like that.
Things that are certainly not real. So why are we talking about it in 2020?
That's a good question.
Yes. So feel free to take over and talk about these things that have happened in 2020 that are just totally not unique to this year at all.
Yeah, totally not unique to this year. So, he was talking about election fraud. They're coming in and they're all like, election fraud. Gee, that sounds very familiar. That sounds like something that's already been established with the mail-in ballots. And and mail-in ballots and how that's getting delayed and how stuff's probably not going to get here on time. Yeah, that's a whole lot of it. So, I guess it actually... which, as always, wear your masks, please. Please wear your masks, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, socially distance. Thank you. We have seen somehow an even worse police presence and how they have responded to, the fact that they shoot people. I don't think we need an allegedly.
No, they do. We have it on video.
Yeah, we when we have video evidence and all that stuff.
Oh, we must have upset some people by talking about 2020 and coronavirus and the police being awful. Not sorry.
So this year, we've also had the stuff with the post office, which is sort of does tie back into that. But you have seen how they have tried to turn the post office into a business and say that it has to be profitable when the post office is to be profitable.
It's actually in the Constitution that it's not supposed to make money.
Yeah.
The Constitution. The thing the president cares about, the Constitution. It's in there. It wasn't called the U.S. Postal Service in the Constitution.
What was it formerly called?
The Postal Committee or some crazy thing, but it wasn't the United States Postal Service. That was changed in the 1800s when it became a partisan thing. But in the Constitution, the men at that point were you don't make money. Sorry there. Says here that he's the president.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, president and postmaster general DeJoy.
Which is a position.
Are you gonna do your...
No, I'm going to in a
Sorry,
bit.
didn't want to.
Yeah.
So as a result of coronavirus and everything, as you know, COVID-19, more and more people, typically, I didn't actually look this up and I'm very sorry, more and more people, and it's typical who would rather not be out in public around a whole bunch of people, are looking at requesting mail-in ballots.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
No, this is just fucking perfect. Like, oh great. Oh, it's probably because our roommate's totally on it. So that's why.
So we're...
Who knows?
Let us know if we need to hang out for a second or what we need to do. Let's if it's looking okay. So obviously, in preparation for mail-in ballots, the president, DJT, who I'm, just going to refer to him like that now, he's been setting up this whole thing with, oh, thank you, Mikey. He's been setting it up with, there's so much fraud with mail-in ballots, and the amount of fraud that it's unlike what we've ever seen, and all this shit that we know isn't true. And by the way, Trump requested an absentee ballot.
Yeah, he's voted absentee all the time.
Like, he has done it so many times. So anyway, so where did I go?
Don't know, love.
There we go.
Ladder
I
fell
saw
over.
that happen.
Yeah, ladder.
It was
fell
a ladder
over.
falling over. Sorry.
It's fine. Just come on. We're live.
So, what was it that you just found? Democrats requesting absentee ballots.
Yeah, this is actually today. That's for later though.
Oh, okay.
Because this actually matters for later, not right now. You're up there.
Okay, I thought it had to do with that. So obviously we have seen how the president has already tried to undermine all of this. He has already been, stoking the fires of mistrust in the postal service and mail-in ballots. He's been saying, oh, it's unreliable, when in actuality, the whole reason it's unreliable is because you have made it unreliable. You have successfully closed branches that need to be open. It's you, buddy. It's you. So we've also seen a lot of stuff, like stuff with QAnon, which we will not go into a whole hell of a lot. And they are considered by the FBI to be a domestic terrorist threat, by the way. Just want to say. And just as an offhand little comment, most of the white nationalist groups in America are Trump supporters. So
yeah, say most. It's almost unanimous.
It's almost all of them.
Yeah, it is. It is an incredibly high number. It's above 95%. Now, that's not to say that there aren't white nationalists that are... Now, white nationalists is a term, by the way, that they thought up because they didn't like being called Nazis. Sorry, Nazi. You carry the fucking flag. We've seen you do it in Charlottesville and also other places.
Yeah.
If you want me to call you the Proud Boys, you got it, right? Because you're so proud to be boys, but also, don't you hate pride? Weird that you would. Okay, bro.
Right.
So weird.
So
odd that they would support the person who is the most least racist person in all of history, apparently. Right? He's the least racist that you've ever met.
Ever.
I'm going to check my notes again. He really is the president.
He really is.
Things that I continue to have to Google to make sure are actual reality. Again, I don't care if you're a Republican or like a conservative of any vine. I really don't. You're not watching anyways, unless you are. If you are, hi there. You should continue to like and like what we have. Make sure you don't give it a thumbs down because I don't care. And also like and subscribe, which we never ask for unless you're a conservative and a Donald Trump supporter, so that we can see who actually is subscribed to our channel, so that we can go ahead whenever we're done with videos like this, especially after we finish this one and get to November 3rd and beyond, so we can make videos that specifically target you and say, hey, please feel free to know how to take a law better than you did. Thanks. Also, like and subscribe.
So why does all of this matter?
See, there's this thing. It's a wonderful phrase. It was brought up. It was actually created or brought up, or I don't know. People that have seen red things before. I have. I've seen a map. The president, again, yes, president continues to tell us about this map, and he shows it to us all the time. This map, this electoral map, that looks like the Verizon fucking coverage map, and it's full of red states, which sure, that's fair. Red states full of no people. So congratulations, you lost the popular vote again in 26 again. So the phrase that was brought up by an organization that was actually, they were funded by Bloomberg.
Yes.
Right. So also, Bloomberg, you're awful and you shouldn't run for president and you really fucked things up again. Yeah. Anyways, but you did a good job with this because you came up with the phrase Red Mirage. Right.
The organization is Hawkfish?
I don't know. It's not Blackfish, though.
I know it's Hawk something, and somebody correct me, please.
Yeah, it's not Blackfish, though, because that has to do with killer whales or orcas, if you're of that persuasion. And
if you're nasty.
And this Red Mirage thing has to do with a very plausible scenario pine cone. That fell outside while I was looking that direction. Again, 50-mile-an-hour winds, so that we might lose internet connection.
Yeah, apologies in advance if we do.
By that, I mean electricity, but we're probably fine. But you should still check on us. Send us a DM.
Yeah, please.
Because maybe, we're okay. And a very plausible scenario is here, and this is it. And this actually has to do with the fact that the president, of course, is undermined and said, the most fraud you've ever seen, to which I said, I've seen your presidency, sir. And here's your scenario. November 3rd is election day, November 3rd. And that's when we historically have decided and elected the president is on election day. Again, November 3rd. November 3rd is a very important day because that's when we go to vote in person, November 3rd. And then that night, November 3rd, Rachel Maddow will be actually happy this time. She was very sad in 2016. I share your pain, Rachel.
Rachel Saddow?
Man. Did you make, I don't think you did.
That was just off the cuff.
I love it. And on November 3rd is when we get to see whether it's Joe Biden or whether it is the other person whose name I cannot think of, but who's somehow president today. That is November 3rd, right? It's not, actually, because this is the unique year that we're talking about. Because of the coronavirus, we have an incredibly large amount of people who are requesting mail-in ballots. Right. For good reason, because they don't want to die. And you shouldn't want to kill them. Not just with coronavirus, just kind of like ever. Like if you can just like get around to it, don't want to kill people. Just a, I don't know, request. Anyways, yeah. People don't want to die, and so they're requesting mail-in ballots. Right. Here's the thing. Liberals or Democrats or people who are simply just like, I don't know, active in reality are taking this virus much more seriously than the people that we call Donald Trump's follower, cult 45. I was the first person, I think, to ever use that phrase. And if you were first, I was first. So there. And they're not taking it very seriously at all. And they say, I'm not going to request a mail-in ballot. Right. To the tune of Democrats or those who identify as people that are definitely going to be voting and definitely going to be voting for Joe Biden are requesting mail-in ballots in incredible record numbers, and also are outpacing Republicans and requesting them by like the percent. I have to look at it again, but it's like it's down here. right? And then it's way up here.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people that per state. And North Carolina, I was looking at that a second ago. North Carolina has early voting starting on Friday. This is funny because I just Google. This came out after we spoke about this earlier today. So good job, NBC News, with this. North Carolina kicks off early voting on Friday. They are sending absentee ballots to over 640,000 residents.
Wow.
They say this is a dramatic hike. We've been on dramatic hikes, and this must be serious.
Must be.
The numbers are incredibly high. Now, North Carolina is a swing state.
Okay.
Very important. So is Pennsylvania.
Right.
So is Wisconsin. So is Michigan. So is Florida. Why is Florida always involved? Anyways.
Florida man. That's all your
Democrats have requested and will receive many millions upon millions more absentee ballots than Republicans. This matters. Because in states like Mississippi and states like Alabama, majority Republican, and they are going to win those states. That is already, I'm fairly certain, unless something happens to our Doug Jones, I don't know, does something really crazy with like Rasputin type hypnotism shit, they're going to be red. The issue comes down to this, like in North Carolina, and this in Pennsylvania, and this in Florida, and even in states like Iowa or Arizona, to where the Republicans vote in person. The Republicans vote in person. What does it look like? It looks like Donald Trump wins.
Right.
And in fact, it looks like he's going to win in a landslide at that point. And then what happens? And by the way, this is a prediction that is, I think, based in reality. Because it's kind of scary.
Yeah. The
president of the United States could claim victory on November 3rd, even though he hasn't won, even though it's not over. And the issue, part of the issue here is the media. Thank you very much, media, for wanting to be first to tell us who did something. Sit the fuck down, because literally the future of our country might be like rest on the fact that you can't shut the fuck up.
It's true.
The president, as she stated, has already said that he doesn't know if he will accept the results of an election. He doesn't know. He'll have to look at it, he said. The president of the United States of America, I'm gonna say this again. The president said he didn't know if he would accept the results of a presidential election. That, if you're listening at home, means no if it is against him. And I'm yelling, and my roommates are probably not excited about it. I'm sorry. Not really, because I am, because I didn't tell them I was gonna be yelling. So I'm sorry about that. But overall, no, I'm not. What?
I love you. Love
you too. Because the president has also, over the course of the past couple of months, when we started to figure out that, hey, maybe coronavirus is a bit of a big deal. Who knew? Who knew that coronavirus could be such a problem? Apparently, it's like healthcare. Nobody knew how hard it was going to be. Anyways, the president at that point then can say, I've won. And of course, it doesn't actually mean he's won.
Correct.
Right? But it means something to him. And it means something, of course, to his followers. Because this is what's going to happen. Remember Florida, that state from 2000, Florida? Yeah. Also, from since then as well, Florida man, as she mentioned, is a real thing. Please, Florida, for once, do the right thing.
It's also a podcast. Go subscribe to it.
Yeah, you should, definitely. Florida or Wisconsin or other states, you know, are going to matter. But just like in Florida, in order for a ballot to count, this is Florida 2000, even though they didn't actually do this. Again, actual fraud by the state of Florida. Good job with that. You have, if you mail in your ballot, it has to be stamped or postmarked, which is basically postmarked these days, by November 3rd, which means you can accept it no matter how long it is. Maybe 6 months later. That's not going to be the case with 99.9% of ballots, right? As long as they're there, you have to accept it. As long as it's got a postmark by that day, you have to accept it, and that it's not, you know, completely fucking fraudulent.
Right.
But those won't be there for the most part on election day. They will come in. They will start coming in a couple of days later, and they'll start in like as a trickle, kind of like this is the one that I said earlier. I swear to Christ, kind of like. Are we still live? I can't tell.
Yeah,
we are.
Yeah, it still says we're
okay. Kind of like the coronavirus, except in this case, the president is actually going to try to stop it. Not the coronavirus. No, he doesn't care. But the election. And again, this is real because he's already said that. He's already said that if we allow mail-in voting, we're going to see more fraud than anything we've ever seen before. Which, by the way, is not true. We live in Oregon, where they've actually done mail-in voting since 1989. The only thing it has done is increase voter diversity and increase voter turnout. Also in Colorado and Washington and Rhode Island, who I understand has people and like apparently is the size of this house. And
thereabouts, yeah.
And he's going to claim on that day, on November 3rd, that he has won. And then there will be a trickle and then a deluge of mail-in votes, which will probably not impact many states. Probably not impact, at least on the national level. We're talking state and city level, maybe, but not the national level. It's not going to impact Nebraska, most likely. I mean, Omaha might go blue. Might go blue. It's not going to impact Oregon. You know, it's not going to impact Washington, California, those states. It likely will impact Pennsylvania, Florida, Wisconsin, Arizona, Iowa, Texas.
Yeah.
Where in 2012, Ted Cruz won the Senate race by 40 points. And 2 years ago, he won by 2 points. Those are real things, by the way. Those are actual numbers that exist. The president at that point, and this, by the way, we know he's going to do. This is not a prediction. He's actually said it more than once. First off, that he doesn't know if he'll accept the results of an election, as we've stated, but also that if he starts to lose, then it's rigged, and he's not joking.
No.
We know that because he not only said it in 2016, but he also said it in 2020. As it turns out, somehow, we're still in this year. I don't know how. So much has happened. Remember that time the president was impeached? Yeah, that was like not that long ago, but it seems like a Star Wars anthology ago. It is a long time. Just saying. And then the president will begin to do what he does. He will say that all these votes are fraudulent, that none of these votes that came in are real votes.
Yeah.
That every single one of these, especially the ones that are against him, by the way,
yeah,
are fraudulent.
And he'll say that he's been saying it since the get-go. He'll say, see, I told you it was going to be just like this. When it was just him and his paranoia.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that's still what it is.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, as the states turn blue, and we have more much more participation this year. We're talking that we did in 2016. We're talking about record numbers of new voters, voter registration in places that you necessarily wouldn't expect to see a ton of voter registration, namely Texas. Turns out, by the way, the Republicans already registered, all of them for the most part.
Yeah. New voter registration is typically happening among the young people, obviously.
Yes.
And voters they are trying very, very hard to disenfranchise. Voters that are succeeding at disenfranchising.
They have historically done. In fact, in 2013, they gutted the centerpiece of the Voting Rights Act. Back in 2013, thanks again, Antonin Scalia. You're awesome. Also, you died, which is probably a good thing. The college-age students, over 70% of them have said they are definitely voting in the 2020 election.
Mm-hmm.
Of that, just over 70, I think it's just over 72%, 71% of them have said they are definitely voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Definitely. These are numbers that nobody has seen before. See, I use the president's words like that, except in this case, it's actual reality. Because historically, college students, mired in the debt that we have been in the past, not a college student anymore, just saying, are more disenfranchised really by their own selves more than anything else, especially the white students who typically don't vote. It's true. I know. I was one. My generation, very bad at this. So please do better than us. Thanks a bunch. And they said they are definitely going to vote. This is millions of votes. And by the way, millions of votes by mail. These students are already going to vote by mail anyway, even in a non-coronavirus election, because a fair number of them go to attend college away from their home.
Right.
They are registered in places like Texas, and they go to school, thankfully for them, probably somewhere else, like Oregon. It is better here, we know. And that is by mail. And now we are taking the number of college students and increasing it by a substantial number, millions, and turning this election on its head.
Mm-hmm.
But it won't be on November 3rd. And that is, of course, the problem. Because here's something that we've seen over the course of the past few months, since the police decided it was okay to lay on the upper back and neck of an unarmed black man and execute him in the streets in Minneapolis. Or, of course, shoot somebody while she's sleeping in her bed in Louisville. Or if you're in Wisconsin, to shoot a man, an unarmed man, in the back 7 times. Hold on.
There you go.
No, I don't know what happened. Sorry. I guess the internet didn't like me talking about this.
There we go.
Boy, I look mad, huh? I look really mad to the world.
I don't know if we're back yet.
I think we are. Yeah, we are. We're back. Maybe not.
I think it's just laggy.
Yeah, it is laggy. This is no fun. See, it's laggy. The
I think we're good.
yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I looked really mad for a second there. Turns out I am. And we've seen the response to our protestation by the police. We've seen their response to us asking them, "Hey, it'd be totally cool if you didn't like brutalize." Oh, I should mention all the people that I talked about were all unarmed Black people who hadn't, as far as we can understand or tell, committed a crime. The response from the police has been just totally measured, just totally, absolutely just patient and understanding, and just standing there like, we understand it is your First Amendment right to protest.
We're taking this criticism and understanding that we need to grow from it.
Absolutely, they told the white people in Michigan.
Yeah.
And they told the white people today, the white nationalists who drove from Portland, this is where we live, down to Salem, Oregon, a good number of them, all of them, by the way, with actual guns, which they've used to murder protesters who are protesting, again, police brutality. This is, I'm making a point here, by the way. And stood there with them today in Salem, Oregon. That's the capital of our state. It's not Portland, for all of you who don't know. And actually begged the white nationalists, the fully armed white nationalists, begged them, not wearing masks either, weird day, to go back to where they were supposed to be protesting. Please, they said, please. The police said, please. Now, this is not the same as thanking a double homicidal murderer for being there. So it's not exactly the same as saying, thanks for being here, we appreciate you, go murder some more people, allegedly. But it's still saying please to the white people, which is what it is.
Which means we know it's in their vocabulary.
Yeah, I know. And also restraint is in there. They have the ability to restrain themselves, except when somebody or somebody's says, hey, maybe please don't do this to Black people more than anybody, to an incredible rate of violence and over policing of Black people. Now, mind you, I'm not saying Black Americans, although for sure, but also any person that is Black in our country. They just happen to live here. When we did that, and continue to, by the way, we're over 100 days in a row here in Portland, and we were largely peaceful. As in 99% peaceful. They fired on us. In Seattle, they chanted, a crowd of diverse people. When you say diverse, when you're in the Pacific Northwest, you found some people that were upset because we are, how do you say, pretty white.
Yeah.
Oregon, until 1929, the Constitution, which they have attempted to scrub from, these words from, didn't allow Black people to live here.
That's accurate.
So, yeah, that's a real thing that happened here in Oregon, the bastion of liberalism in the country. Anyways, and the diverse crowd of people in Seattle who were peaceful chanted at the police and said, we don't see a riot here, so take off your riot gear. The police responded by firing on them, shooting them with non-lethals, tear gassing them, running over them with their vehicles, which apparently can't go in reverse. And for 100 straight days in Portland, they have tear gassed the residents. And by the way, in answer to the violence thing, if I may quote a few, everybody, people matter more than buildings.
It's true.
So fuck your buildings.
Yep.
Also, the police side with the white nationalists, with the Nazis, with the people who are proud to call themselves Proud Boys while they hate pride. Weird. Again, I'm still stuck on that. I can't get over that. They call themselves Proud Boys, but there's so much like LGBT built into the phrase Proud Boys that I can't help it. I really cannot. You can't hate pride. I know you go to these marches. You have to. I don't know what kind of disguise you're wearing. All right. I also don't care, but come on. Come on, guys.
Anyway.
You're in Vancouver as well. I will go to the gay club with you for real. Partially because gay clubs are awesome. We've been together. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
But come on. Stop lying to yourselves. Anyways, and we've seen the response by the police to the two types of demonstrators, the two types of protesters. Yep. We stand there, peaceful or otherwise, and they tear gas us. They kidnap us. Who does it? Federal officials do it without cause, without warrant, violating our constitutional rights. This is all already happened.
Yeah.
This is a thing that has already gone on, and not just in Portland, although we are, of course, apparently the epicenter of protesting, which I keep telling people we're better at it than anybody else. Come learn how. These things have already happened. The president has already called us who speak out and protest brutality terrorists.
Yes.
The people that were in front of the White House the day that he, against the will or even without the knowledge of the actual DC police, who has police even though they have no representation in Congress anyways, federal officials who didn't have markings tear gassed and hit with batons and riot shields, which again, not around, no riot shield or riot gear today in Salem or, when they were in Michigan or anywhere other time when it's just white nationalists carrying around weapons, which again, they have shot people with, unprovoked, mind you, looking to do it on video. They want to do it. We also know the cops want to do it. They cleared out peaceful protesters unconstitutionally from in front of the White House so that the president could have some weird photo church thing. I don't know. Whatever gets your rocks off there, again, president somehow. I don't understand. I'm still lost in a different timeline. That happens again, except it's different because after the election, the president is not going to accept the fact that the votes that are coming in are overwhelmingly blue votes, and they're flipping his states. They're flipping Pennsylvania and they're flipping Minnesota, which is never going to go blue or red anyways. And it's flipping Wisconsin and Michigan and possibly Florida. Don't muck it up again, Florida, and Arizona and possibly Iowa. And maybe if the stars are all aligned and everything is going right in the world, and we say this because we're not leftists, we're liberals. Gotcha. If everything is aligned right, maybe Texas, who knows, that would be pretty awesome.
It would only be the stars that are at night and big and bright.
And you'd find them also deep in my heart. So there. The president will not accept these. And he will not accept the results of the election. And we, because it's what we can feel like we have to do, because every single day since this motherfucker has been in office, we feel like we've had to do this because of something else that's gone on, as if he is some sort of fucking treasonous piece of shit, which he is, and he's also a fucking fascist, definitionally, have to protest it and have to say that the votes matter and the votes are real and they're legitimate and there is no fucking voter fraud. And we have to do that. And the response to that, we've already seen it. We've already seen the response to begging police to stop being police. Except now, it is worse. I remember back in 2016, I was watching Hassan Minaj, right? And he was doing the Daily Show because Trevor Noah took a break or I don't know, did something, I forget. And it was like November 7th, I think, because the 6th, and he said that November 7th, there's like this dystopian thing behind him, and there's like in ruins and all this stuff. And it was kind of a joke, sure. But he also then talked about his mom, who is not a citizen, they weren't in the United States, trying to come back. Would they be able to? They're Muslim. As it turned out, the president tried to ban Muslims from coming to our country. But they had this dystopian idea, which thankfully didn't like totally happen. But there is a very, very, very real chance that it could. And when I say a very real chance, I mean, I expect it to happen. This sounds like a fucking conspiracy, except we've already seen it.
Yeah.
They've already beaten us for standing there asking them to stop beating people. We've already seen the feds come in and kidnap people for doing nothing. We've already seen them tear gas and shoot with non-lethals in the face and throw people to the ground and beat them mercilessly, and then allow white nationalists, Nazis, to come after us with fucking firearms as we stand there. Sorry you got a Molotov thrown at you one fucking time. Meanwhile, the exact same day, there were 2 protests that were also in Portland. Both of them fucking peaceful. Sorry you didn't hear about those, news media. They also had more people at them. One of them where a person said the names of the last 100 black people who were executed by the police. But you didn't hear about that. Why not? Donald Trump's cult following will not take losing well. We already knew that, but what we didn't know was that this would all come together in a perfect storm that is fucking terrifying. Because these people already want to kill people. We know that. They try to. They succeed sometimes. They just want the chance to do it. And there is a very, 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 very high chance they're going to get that. I hate fear-mongering. I hate conspiracies. All of these things, I hate them. But I look at what he said and done about the post office and how they attempted to steal. They tried to take how many what do you think that was for? It's so they could attempt again to suppress the vote. And how he has every single day, seemingly literally every single day, said how fraudulent mail-in voting is, even while his base and he receive mail-in ballots. As you're watching this, if you've made it this far, again, like and subscribe. Sit back, feel free to pause if you're watching it after right now, which is also right now. And sit back and pause this and think about for a second. Like, no, that's not something that the president would ever do. And then remember what he's done this year alone. Remember how he's said in his actual speeches that he wishes that that people would be able to beat the hell out of other people simply because they have a difference of opinion. And he said he would pay for their lawyer fees if they punched protesters. He will not call out the Nazis, who again he called very fine people, for what they've done and what they continue to do. Mm-hmm. Calls us terrorists. Do you think that that's not something he would do when we speak out against him after he tries this bullshit in November, which he will do? Oh, Sam. Oh, man, Sam, we actually have a video coming out that kind of addresses that. Oh, man. It's because they're black. Also Hispanic and brown and of any skin tone, but mostly black, yes. Yeah, and that's actually something that the game they gave away back in the 1970s and 80s when they literally said it, like recorded saying it. Yeah. That even they started changing the terminology and started calling it other things in order to try and take the heat off their backs. By they, I mean the Republicans. The Republicans. It says here the Republicans are still not okay. And the president at that point, so what can happen here is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And again, I am so happy that my prediction came true, which I said months ago, that Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's running mate. Because Joe Biden may not have it in him, because he's a bit of, he's still that leftist rage that he keeps talking about, right? That he doesn't exactly have the Trump derangement syndrome that the rest of us have.
Yeah, it's funny with Joe Biden. He's either cold and calculating and cunning and just awful, or he's useless. There's no in between.
No, apparently not. He's one or the other. And also he's like a super fucking communist, or he's a socialist. Honestly, who knows? Kamala Harris, though, was like a attorney general and a prosecutor of some sort in California, where she apparently had a meteoric rise, which is always a funny thing because meteors fall, but whatever. Meteoric rise in California, where she had, let's just say, no trouble putting away like black people, and she's black. So this is like a really like awesome thing to happen because she's going to have like 0% sympathy for any motherfucker who's going to try and get in the way of these ballots being counted. And they will sue.
Oh, yeah.
To have them counted. Not in the way that Al Gore did. No. No, this will be a different type of thing because we will be already in the streets and the terrifying part about that is we won't be the only ones there. But anyways, is that they will again and again and again say, no, we need to count these ballots because they are real ballots, that they are real votes. You fucking lost is what they need to say.
Yeah. It's what will eventually be said to
which
Trump.
Which is what I hope that they do. Kamala Harris will do. That Joe Biden, feel free to sit this one out, brah. You're president or whatever, but just do what we should all do and let the woman take care of it. Okay? Literally, it's probably the best thing for everybody. No, it really is actually. But here's the thing. The president then can actually, as the commander-in-chief, can actually command the military to stop us. He can say that we are a domestic threat, which he's done before.
Yeah.
He can say that we're terrorists, which he's done before. And then, of course, alongside them are QAnon supporters who see this as their time to help, who are, as was noted earlier, a FBI labeled domestic terror threat. And the Nazis, the Proud Boys, again, come on, who want this They have been trying for a very long time to get this. This is not a conspiracy. We have already seen it. It's already happened. It happened in our city. We are possibly, we're one of easily in the top 5 most liberal cities in the country.
Yeah.
Like, I would be hard pressed to find another metropolitan area that is more liberal than fucking Portland. And it happened here. The feds were here, taking people off the streets in fucking Portland. You don't think they do it in Dallas? Especially in Dallas.
Yeah.
Or Houston, where they'd call you thugs again.
Or Austin, where Greg Abbott would just let it happen.
Which he has.
Yeah.
Or any of your other possibly purple turning to blue cities and states. He can't. Now, what I want to say to this, by the way, is that the Constitution specifically, or the military specifically says, protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I want to say that I believe that the U.S. military would tell, again, somehow, the president to go fuck himself. But I've already seen what federal troops have done to people asking the police to stop brutalizing people.
Yeah.
This possibility, which is it, I hate to say it, it's fucking likely.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds like a conspiracy. I know it does. I listen to myself say it, and I'm like, I'm not a conspiracy guy. But I've already seen them do it. They've already done it. They've already set up the stakes. They've already said, they've already given the game away.
See, to me, it's not so much a conspiracy theory as it is a valid hypothesis. It is a completely valid hypothesis because, like you said, everything has already been set up for all of this. We have no reason to think that anybody in the Trump administration is going to act in good faith.
Yeah, we've already seen that.
Like,
no matter, can I say it now?
Yeah.
No matter how much of, no matter how much, I'm trying to think, Katie Porter.
Katie Porter.
No matter how much Katie Porter decides to take, the DeJoy out of the Postal Service general man, or his, anyways.
Postmaster General.
Yeah, took his whole last name away. Turns out that the person who is the Postmaster General doesn't actually know how to do his job,
No, he doesn't.
which he said in the Senate hearing or the House hearing. I don't really know. Either way, he said he doesn't know how to do his job, but he wants to turn it into a fucking business. Again, as was mentioned in the Constitution, United States postal people, not a business, not for profit, doesn't make money. He wants to turn it into a business, partially because, oh, as it turns out, Mr. DeJoy, do you have a lot of DeJoy because you have so much stock option in Amazon? Holy shit, it's almost like you gave millions of dollars to Donald Trump. Wow, that's not at all. And wait, hold on, what? Oh, I'm getting more information about DeJoy, that he actually wants to basically do away with the Postal Service, which he went ahead and implemented rather immediately when he became, for whatever reason, because he didn't go through the Senate because it wasn't required to. Good job with that one. He when he became Postmaster General fella, he decided to enact sweeping change, as in he was like sweeping away post office blue thingies, collection, whatever. I don't know what those things are called. They're blue and most of them are gone.
Boxes.
Sure. And
but also the the post office in our town, in our suburb, where we live, closed temporarily.
Yeah, it's not coming back,
but it's closed.
Yeah, and we are in a fairly well populated suburb of Portland.
Pretty affluent.
Yeah. we can drive to Portland in 15 minutes. We are very much right here.
Yeah.
And by the way, it turns out Portland is amazing and awesome, and there's like no damage to the city. So stop. If
It's not a war zone, stop it with that.
yeah, if you ever see anything people say Portland is currently a war zone, just ask us. We're here.
Yeah, we've been downtown at least a few times.
Yeah, we got pictures and everything, but the bears are attacking. Anyways, that's an inside joke about bears. And
so
I say now a war zone because here's the thing, and yes, that's the question. But let me say this real fast.
Yes.
In this scenario, which by the way, again, fucking likely.
It's very plausible.
People are going to die.
Yes.
Like a lot of people. The repercussions of the president of the United States not only not accepting the results of an election, but continuing to try to subvert the Constitution, go beyond the borders of our country. It affects Canada. It affects trade. It affects transportation. It affects Europe, China as well, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand. Everywhere that has an economy, Korea, whatever it might be, is affected immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And on the streets of our country, people are going to die.
Completely unnecessarily.
Because the president will have this red haze that he will then take and say he has won, and then say that everything else is wrong, and he will allow it. We already know that he will because he has.
Yep.
Recently. And it's fucking terrifying. It's terrifying in a way that I cannot possibly explain. If you have been in combat, I see that. I literally do. I don't want to. I don't want to consider the fact that that's something that could, and it's really possible that it could happen. What else do you want me to believe? That he's just going to give up and say, sure, yeah, you did it? He's already said he's not going to.
So the question that we come to, it is a question that we hear asked a lot. It is a question that has the same answer as when we ask the question, what the fuck do we do?
It's actually really easy.
Yeah.
None of this has to happen. There's
Register to vote.
No, there's only one way that this doesn't happen. And by the way, this also comes through simulations done by hundreds of people. And we've actually, I don't know if you watched the one video that I mentioned, but they actually came together in a war games style thing. And there was only one way that they came together and said, this is the only way that this right here doesn't turn into fucking chaos and people dying in the streets. Joe Biden has to win big. And he has to win big on election day.
Yeah, it was like day of, not just mail in. It's got to happen day of.
He has to be either ahead or tied with Donald Trump in Florida, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, which again, you're talking 640,000 mail-in ballots in North Carolina. You don't think that can tip a race? Let's talk about the, first off, 537, but let's talk about the 17,000 that decided the state last time. Let's talk about the fact that it took less than 117,000 to decide the election last time in 2016.
Yeah.
Look at the states, look at the maps. You're talking about an immense amount. So the people that go to the polls on November 3rd in those states have to vote. And in order for him to win, like you mentioned, and as was mentioned here, we almost vote. Sam said that. Everybody in 2000, in the year 2000, 51% of registered voters voted. 51%. And again, he lost by 537 votes. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by a lot and lost because of 17,000 and 10,000 in states like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin. It was only 800,000 votes in Texas. We've closed that gap. But we can't vote if we're not registered. How do we get registered to vote? Figure it out where you live.
Vote.org will tell you if you are registered. It will tell you if you are registered. I think it'll tell you where you're registered, and if you are not registered, it'll tell you how to register.
Yeah.
Vote.org.
Yep. And share that with everybody.
Make sure it is current.
I
make sure that there is no reason for them to tell you on election day that you cannot vote. Check that now. Check that today.
Yep.
Check that and make sure, because they will do random purging of voter rolls and put you as suspended.
Yep.
And you have to jump through some hoops to get that fixed.
Yeah.
Jump through those hoops now. Do that now.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that you get that taken care of. And also, don't become complacent. Don't sit there and think, well, Biden's got a lead right now. Everything's okay. We don't have to worry about actually going and voting, or we don't have to worry about turning in ballots. Do not become complacent. Don't sit there and think it's going to happen even if I don't vote. Because not only is that wrong, as we've seen, it's dangerous. Dangerous as fuck. Don't give anybody a reason to ask you why you did what you did.
To give an idea here, in Pennsylvania, I'm reading this, which Donald Trump, again, carried by less than 45,000 votes, more than 1 million Democrats have requested mail-in ballots, 338,000 Republicans. 70% of the mail-in ballots have been requested by Democrats. For those that have not requested a mail-in ballot, not only do we need to go vote, but those of us who have requested, now in Oregon it's automatic, but those who have requested mail-in ballots, if you feel safe enough, it's not just about voting, it's about taking people to go vote.
Mm-hmm.
If they have to go and vote, it's about taking them. It's about helping them see their ballot. If you have a mail-in ballot, fucking help them. Don't vote for them, quite obviously.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, we don't encourage voter fraud on this side of the party. That's what Republicans did in North Carolina anyways. Actual voter fraud too, not voter registration fraud. Actually at the polls anyways. Republicans. And help them if they have questions, right? Help them with research. But more than that, drive people to the polls if you feel safe enough. If you are safe, work the polls.
Mm-hmm.
And even more than that, volunteer to count votes.
Mm-hmm.
The process will take longer if we don't have enough people counting the mail-in votes. In Oregon, we're good. We've been doing this thing for 30 years. We've got it all figured out. You can just walk up some places and it's like it is literally a drop box for ballots.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Not every state has that. In fact, very few do. You can count them. You can also be oversight. You can be, we already have that, by the way. Other countries help with that.
It's true.
Russia's one of them. Oh, by the way. I don't think so this year, but they were in 2016. Those are things that we have to do, and we have to do now. Because if we don't, and if it's close on the 3rd, I cannot I don't want to think about that, because it is, there you go, Tapioca Weasel, absolutely. Said Colorado has drop box voting. That's how you voted in the primary.
Nice.
It works, and there's no fraud. The outcome of this election could determine our future as a country. And I don't mean the direction of our country. I mean, if we exist.
Yeah.
Does that seem a bit too far for some of you who are watching this and haven't considered these things? This isn't a conspiracy. Again, they've already done these things.
Yeah.
They've already shown that they will do them, and they already have, and they've gotten away with it too. I don't want this to happen. I want for Donald Trump to no longer be the president. I want more than that, sure, but I want him to no longer be the president, and I want for none of his people to be in office. Because they are not American patriots. They are in it to make money off of the backs of the American people. They are awful people.
Yeah. I will gatekeep the shit out of that. It's something I support gatekeeping on.
The ability that we have to do this rests in our hands. I don't want to be in the streets on November 3rd and 4th and 5th, which I am requesting off from work. But I will. Please, we need to do the right thing, because if we don't, the results will be catastrophic. And in the way that we think it's bad now. I don't want to see what I didn't think of this. I didn't come up with this.
No.
Red Mirage is not my phrase. Thankfully, I would have said something else. These are the people who ran these war games type scenarios are bipartisan.
Yeah.
So much to the fact that some of them who are Republicans went to the president and was like, yo, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
You're going to cause a civil war. That is real. That's happened. But we can avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
We can avoid the largest economic collapse in our nation's history. We can avoid a second civil war. I can't read it. What does it say?
Oh, this is serious. Donald Trump does not care or value things such as representative democracy or the peaceful transfer of power. He is an authoritarian.
Yeah.
He's an authoritarian, and he is being enabled by people who don't even realize that this is how constitutional democracies collapse.
Yeah. It terrifies me. I sat down today, and once I realized the level to which, because I read about this the other day and I kind of brushed it off. Once I sat down today and I was talking to somebody at work about it, and I realized the extent of this, I called Susan on the phone. And I was like, hey, we got to talk about this tonight.
Yeah.
Because, folks, I'm serious. We've not begun to consider how bad this could be. And if the only prayer that we have is that the military stands up to him, I think we've already lost.
Yeah.
So please go and do these things. Go, first off, vote, please. Thank you. Oh, sure. The Red Mirage, for those of you who just made it in here, Tapioca. By the way, thanks so much for being a Patreon or patreon.com/divine disbelief.
Yes.
Sure. Thanks so much again. We got the email the other day. Red Mirage is this. During the election, because of course we're having this year, because it's the perfect fucking storm of coronavirus and this 2020 and this president and mail-in voter fraud shit. He's been like saying it over and over and over and over and over again. And people are like, yes, that's what it is. Exactly. The Red Mirage is this. The fact that so many people, as we just went over, the fact that Democrats, especially in some swing states, Pennsylvania, are requesting mail-in ballots. 70% of them, 70% of those requested are from Democrats. What it's going to look like on election day, most likely, and this is why this is a nightmare fucking scenario, because this is the most likely scenario. Mm-hmm. It's going to look like Donald Trump has won.
Because the ones who vote in person on election day are going to be Republicans. Because they don't give a shit about getting a mail-in ballot because they think coronavirus isn't real, allegedly.
Yes. And it will look like he has won. He will claim victory because we know he will. Yeah, I know. Same. All right. And then the mail-in ballots will start to come in. And because he's already claimed victory, his people have already convinced. These people have already convinced themselves it's going to happen anyways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This has been like established. This is not something that is out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
like it's a very plausible scenario.
I think this is the likely scenario.
Yeah.
That's why, and I'm very rarely like terrified of something. I have almost always been optimistic. Like even yesterday, a conversation we had where it's like, oh, how are we going to get this done? And it was like, we're going to make it. We always do.
Yeah. I'm
optimistic about a lot of things. I think that the Democrats are going to take back the Senate. That's not like overly optimistic because, you know, I actually see a road to that actually makes real sense. But I'm terrified. Absolutely Yeah, Bill Barr did say he doesn't know voting twice is illegal.
Yeah.
And DeJoy,
This is DeJoy.
whatever, the general person, saying that he doesn't know how to do his job.
Yeah.
He's the general of the postal service. Weird. Again, how? Anyway, whatever. You know what? No.
Postmaster General is like Attorney General. Does that make it
I don't even know what
easier?
they do at this point, honestly. I know what they don't do. They don't fill positions because the president, the president hasn't filled position. Anyways,
They don't fill those positions because they're qualified.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you're qualified, yeah, what? Go ahead.
No. I was just saying they don't fill them because they're qualified, because they're not qualified.
Exactly.
Those are my toes. I just popped.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yes, please go vote. Get people registered to vote. Volunteer if you can to drive people to the polls if they're going to be voting. Help people understand how to fill out their ballots.
Yeah.
Help them, especially if you are in areas of folks who are, let's just say, disenfranchised.
There are sample ballots that are usually available.
Yep, they're online.
Yeah.
They can see them. You can help somebody. Yeah, Tapioca, for sure. You can help somebody understand what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely can. A lot of people will be a first time voting. You can, again, you cannot vote for them. You cannot fill out their ballot for them. You can't tell them how to vote.
Don't do that.
By the way, the president also said that he was seriously considering sending in armed people to the polls. He said that too. So again, if you think this is a fucking conspiracy, they've already given us the game.
Yeah.
They've already literally handed us the playbook and done it out loud.
Yep.
Mostly because the president is a fucking idiot who can't help but spout little things off here and there every day to tell us exactly what they're doing, right? They've already told us what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Take people to the polls. Help them. Help them vote. Again, I can't say this again. Don't do it for them. Okay.
I love you.
I love you too. I'm glad we're always on the same fucking page.
Ooh.
Yeah. And also volunteer to work the polls.
Yeah.
And volunteer if you can to count ballots. This will only take as long as the amount of people that we have counting them.
Yeah. The more people that they have, the quicker it'll go. Really, really, really.
It's true.
So
we love all of you guys. And again, if you're conservative, thanks for watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're awesome too.
Yes.
Don't vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like if you value
anybody that you care about.
Wait, do you have values left at this point if you support Donald Trump? What is your value especially? Anyways. You don't. That's the thing.
We highly suggest not voting for Donald Trump. We highly suggest that.
Yeah.
We're allowed to say that.
Don't vote for Donald Trump.
We're a YouTube channel. We can say that.
Yeah, don't vote for him.
Don't vote for him. Just don't.
Seriously. Unless you want the whole Civil War thing. Which,
you don't.
Why do you want that?
Don't want a Civil War thing.
Owning the libs, yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. We really, really appreciate y'all. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate those of y'all who hang out with us, those of y'all who are wonderful and generous, who support us on Patreon. We really, really appreciate y'all. Patreon.com/divinedisbelief. What did you just
I don't know.
Oh yeah, you did a notes thing.
Yeah, I did.
Thank y'all so much. We really, really appreciate y'all. Patreon.com/divinedisbelief. We're on, I think it's like pod.fans, like pod.fan/divine-disbelief, something like that. All the notes are in the description. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We are all over the place. We are everywhere, basically.
We just.
Did it just die?
Yeah, I just paused.
Oh no.
No, but I think we're good again.
Are we good yet?
Yep.
There we go.
Well, we are
good?
moving.
I can't tell.
There, yes.
There we go.
Good.
Okay, sorry. We froze a little bit there.
Yeah, that happens.
You can catch us every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on Explain Like I'm 5, which is our new show. We just had our second one this last week. It was a lot of fun. This week,
Nothing.
What'd you do?
Nothing. We'll go right after the show.
Oh, okay. This week we have Uncle Mark and Uncle Doug from How to Heretic talking about their advocacy with cats, with their TNR program that they used to help out with and everything. So I'm very excited for that. We've got some stuff that we're working on at the moment, which are premiere videos rather than live streams. So we will be working on those. You will see those coming up hopefully in not too long.
Yeah, we've got stuff that we're working on.
Yeah,
it's been
a long time coming, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it's been difficult too.
Yeah. Anything else that I forgot to mention?
I don't think so. Do you think Donald Trump's ever going to watch this?
I mean, he is a tag on the YouTube video, so somebody in the administration might.
Hold on 1 second. You can't hear us for a second. So we just, see, we're muted and stuff. We're just talking while we're on the video. So anyways, the right-wing psycho, I agree. So I think the president might watch this. And so, hey, again, it still says here that you're the president. Again, I don't know how. This is like the paper that I was reading that says you're president. It's right here.
Us.
It's like the fifth wall. Anyways, I have a message for you, Mr. President. You.